2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of CTC TV, and very excited to bring to you the first and hopefully many in a series that I'm titling Greatest Rivalries, and this is highlighting my rivalry with somebody who is most definitely the Joker to my Batman, Nick Bugatti. For those of you that don't know, Nick Bugatti and myself actually were very, very close in his beginning days with Future Stars of Wrestling. So close that I actually extended an invitation to him to live with me. And he became somebody who not only is one of my best friends in the world, but he also is most certainly one of my greatest rivals. He moved out here from Arizona, and I believe that his first month of training did take place at the original Future Stars of Wrestling school that was located on Boulder Highway. And he was there for a short period of time and quickly made progress. He is somebody who, much like our good buddy Nick Zander, aka Nicky Two Burgers, big shout out to you, sir. He's somebody that basically lived at the wrestling school. He was there 5 days a week. He was always the first person to show up and the last person to leave. Every ring crew, you were able to really see his dedication, his work shining through. Also, shout out to Dr. Carney, aka Judah. It's awesome to have you, sir. And getting back to the subject at hand, there was a period of time where I thought that I was going to have to stop professional wrestling, and at least for a period of time. And there was no other person that I could have thought of at that time to have my retirement match with other than Nick. And that is going to be something that we look over, as well as a training match that we had at the new FSW school. Something to notice in this match is that there's actually ropes instead of cables, which is something I miss dearly because my back also misses it too. And you can see even when we were training, we went very hard. And thankfully to the FSW network, I was able to find a match that I have never had the opportunity to watch back that we had at a student showcase back in 2015. There's another match that you're going to see, which was a huge multi-man tag match for the now defunct 3PW. And we're also going to watch the retirement match as well as our final match at Natural Born Killers. And there's going to be some talking points in between each match. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And the first match is that match that I just mentioned here. Something to notice is I was not committed to finishing yet in this match, and you can also notice that Nick Bugatti definitely had just started growing his hair out. Zane Z is the referee. He is the father of Shaggy McLovin, as well as Macho Mouse. And then in the corner there, we have Jack Manley, who is definitely missed. I believe that you can see Sugar Brown is in the building as well. Austin Grimes is on the outside, as well as the ladies and gentlemen that's training with who's there. Also, Gregory Sharp is over on the left, talking to Clutch right now. And there's a and this was filmed by Jason Cash, and we were told to film a match for a company in Utah.
Ref, he was choking me.
In order to get Nick consent.
I want to see Bugatti.
Once again, we don't miss that dingy canvas, and you can see that the old fat heads from WCW Nitro Grill are still on the walls. You can see
Tell Zane to stay out of hard.
is unfortunately upside down. Turn down the video. Thank you very much, Nicky. Let's see here.
Let him know it's here.
Okay. We turned it down just a little bit there. Hopefully that helps the audio levels. Yeah, that ring was ripped, torn, patched, taped. Just it was a mess. So I'm really proud of what we have done with the school. Hey, Nikki, how are those audio levels coming in, bud? Audio is still a little wonky, heard. Let's go ahead and get that fixed. Alright. Also, shout out to Jan Stroman. How are we coming in now, guys? We coming in okay? Nick Bugatti's still trying to figure out what a hard cam is. Turn myself up more, much better. Okay, very, very cool. We're gonna stick with much better. Once I'm not trying to blow out speakers here. But okay, perfect now. Good to hear. So, and it's just one of those things, man, like, especially for you guys that have come to the school now when, I mean, honestly, it looks a lot bigger than it did. What a difference paint can make. And then at this point in time, I do believe that Nick Bugatti was already living with me. We had a wrestler house. It was Nick Bugatti and Maserati with myself as well as Silas Mason. Good old Thrillbilly. Frequent visitors to Grambo's house were Greg Romero as well as Dangerous Devin Dixon. And it was a really fun time. We all trained with each other. We all ate the same food. We all worked pretty hard. You know, but you can definitely tell that we had to graduate from that Planet Fitness gym membership. Yeah, it's definitely crazy beginnings. You see, for anyone that feels bad, even in training, even back then, we still threw hard. That's another thing that you don't see me do at all anymore is that Marufuji follow-in because it's been so abused. So abused. Too many people use it now. There's my glorious bald spot. Fuck, I should have let go sooner. But yeah, I mean, even at this point in time, I knew that there was something special in Nick. And he definitely brought the best out of me. You know, Jack Manley is somebody that we deeply miss as well. I'm hoping one day just to wake up and just kind of see Jack Manley popping his head in just to say hello. Good old ambulance chaser. How long had Nick been training in this video? I think at this point Nick Bugatti was probably, I would say, a year to a year and a half in at this point. He was probably just coming up on a year. All right, and that's look at this awkward as fuck pin. I don't know why I was lifting my leg. I don't think it really helped with anything at all. But yeah, that's once again, that's definitely something that the dedication that Nick had was seen even then. And throughout these matches, you're going to see a trend of everyone just kind of progressively gets just a little bit better. Let's go ahead, and I believe the next one is going to be the 3PW days. So, for those that don't know, there was a financial backer for Future Stars of Wrestling named Gordon, who came to the company with a lot of money. And him and Joe didn't really get along, and Gordon thought because he had money, Joe was going to listen to his ideas, and that's not the way that it went. So Gordon tried to run Joe out of his own company, and when he realized that wasn't going to work, he then decided to take his money and open his own promotion and kind of built Noah's Ark. And there was a lot of people at the time that were in FSW, including myself, that weren't very happy with our position in the company, and we were all romanced with bags of money. And this is the result of that, is that there was a little bit of a divide, and myself, Remy Marcel, Sugar Brown and Clutch, as well as a few others, made the decision to leave FSW for 3PW, which was a good decision for us financially, and seemed like a good decision until Gordon started kind of turning things into a shit show. I remember that he tried to get people to turn against Remy, and nobody was about that. We all kind of stood by him. And then eventually 3PW shut down, and we all ended up having to go back to FSW. And while it was a hard decision for Joe to bring us back, we all came back better, and we all came back with a higher value. So there was some good and some bad that came from this promotion. It was actually inside of the Midas of Tropicana, right next to the very first Dutch Brothers location in Vegas. And this match, this one had some funny haha in it. Where would FSW be if Gordon and Joe got along? Brother, FSW would be in a different fucking spot. The amount of money that Gordon had to throw around would have definitely... Oh, everyone could boo this fucking dude. The amount of money would have definitely helped things, but we're running pretty strong without him. And it just goes to show money doesn't actually solve everything. And now, just to give you guys a rundown about who Swade Thompson is as a person, Swade had his friends. I was never really one of them. I think the very first time I met him, we had a pretty pleasant interaction, but it wasn't long after that that I could kind of see that he was a fucking idiot. We all just didn't know how much of a fucking idiot he was. So, unfortunately, he is definitely a black eye on the Vegas wrestling scene. And if you notice, Greg Romero is got an homage to Dusty Rhodes on his knee pad there. He went and got some polka dot material and put it around his calf. This was right around the time that Dusty Rhodes had passed away. Oh shit, I did not realize that you went to high school with Greg Romero, Nikki Two Burgers. We'll definitely have to share some stories. And then, this match, at the time I was going in and out of the country to visit my ex-girlfriend Elaine, and this match had to be structured in a way to where I was written off of programming for a little bit so I could go out of the country to go do one of those visits. And there was a whole entire angle that was supposed to spin out of this where I was actually eventually going to end up having a feud with Austin Grimes, who was the referee. I'll let the finish fold out and play that, but that's one of my biggest fucking regrets, is that I was not able to have a feud with Austin. Austin Grimes hasn't been around during the pandemic. He's been taking a step back, which I definitely respect, but he's one of my favorite people in professional wrestling. He's an absolutely fantastic referee, and I really thought it was important to try to build a moment for him. And the idea is that we were eventually going to have a street fight in which Austin Grimes was going to get his ass kicked, and then Greg Romero was going to come in and make the save for Austin. to even out the odds, and then Austin Grimes was going to turn around on me and just beat my ass. And man, there was a promo that we cut where we were in Oregon and I punched Austin in the face, legit, on the shoot. And we had to keep on retaking it because he couldn't stop smiling before I punched him in the mouth. 5 takes. It took 5 fucking takes. So Austin is definitely one of my favorite people. So right now, I do believe that we have Shadow Fox in with Beast the Butcher. Definitely a big Shadow Fox fan. He was always awesome. Zach Crawford, I believe, is retired from the business now. And then his tag partner, Lucha Star, who I still believe does some stuff in Arizona. But yeah, that Austin feud would have been fucking money. Would have been a lot of fun. So, another person to note in this match is Tommy Watanabe, who has been a fixture of the Vegas wrestling scene for a bit. Lucha Star cleaning up house with some solid lucha action. But yeah, man, it was just a different time back then. I mean, we were literally wrestling in a fucking oil change place. But the crowds were hot. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. So one thing I remember about this match is that the opening section went way long. Like way long. Tommy Watanabe with his Harley Quinn gear. Nice little spear out of Tommy. And there was some fans that 3PW had that were just exclusive 3PW fans that never attended an FSW show, but they would only attend the 3PW shows. Which is a shame. I wish that some of them would still come back around. Good old Bronco Buster. Guys, once again, thank you for joining us. We're hanging out with 7 different people watching. Nice snap suplex from Beast there. Big boy senton. And for those that aren't too familiar with Beast, he is also the front man for a new metal band called Dim. That's been a mainstay in the Vegas music scene for quite some time. All right, now here's if anybody ever wanted to know if I ever did funny haha, this lets you know that I did funny haha. Bugatti's not having any of that. Greg Romero, Wes, Suede, Lucha. Got that goofy Chikara spot in. So, once again, I'm not super serious all the time, just to let you guys know. Sometimes you gotta have fun. Here's your flippy floppy AEW spot right here. I remember being really impressed with Shadow Fox on this one. God, I think that there was one more after this. I can't remember if there... Was there another one after this? No. That was the only 2. But it was a really good opportunity to get a highlight on the Shadow Fox and Lucha Star. Nikki, I'm glad that you like the spot, brother. But yeah, sometimes in multi-mans it's fun to be able to do some of that stuff. Nice DVD. Just the disrespect from Tommy Watanabe. And Austin was another guy that, like, worked so hard, lost so much weight. Very shitty clothesline from a very shitty wrestler right there. A much better clothesline from a much better wrestler right there. Yeah. Sway Thompson was a pile. However, psychology-wise, an element to this is these guys are supposed to be teaming, but they're beefing with one another. Good old jobber clobber. Just roughing him up in the corner. So, I think that the reason why I like watching this match back is that it shows that you can still do the indie shit, but you can still have psychology put in its place. There's still more story in this match to unfold. Amazing spike bump on the Bulldog from Greg Romero. Yeah, man. Storm Candido for sure. 100%. Greg Romero hitting the good old CM Punk arm trap neck breaker there. Oh, does he hit the crossbody in this one? Yes. One of my favorite crossbody blocks, and once again, not enough people do it. Nikki Two Burgers. Get you some, man. I know you can do that. Yeah, man. Nick Bugatti back in the and he'll even say this himself, he was looking a little bit like a pear in a black singlet back then, but he worked really hard. Solid 10 punches in the corner. Learned how to do those properly from D'Lo Brown. And once again, Nick Bugatti has just always been on another level. His selling is incredible. There was a blind tag from Swade Thompson and all that nonsense. Tanahashi's gonna be sending me the cease and desist. Hey, get it, dude. If you can get it, get it. Especially if you can frog splash out of it, dude. Once again, the dissension between Greg Romero and Swade Thompson giving us the upper hand. Once again, planting the seed of me being a little bit overly aggressive with Austin Grimes. Very different times for me back then. Austin being a good referee, me being a shitty wrestler. But yeah, just even the idea of me teaming with Nick back then would have been fucking awesome. And once again, just one of the, like, just technically good. Nick is a much better wrestler than people actually realize. This is way before the flamboyant Italian flamingo days. This is back when Nick Bugatti was just a name, not a character. Smother him. Yeah, lean Cody, but still baby fat Cody. Still baby fat Cody. And once again, like my heel was almost a little bit like cartoon villainy. Um, not nearly as serious. If I remember correctly, Suede held onto my head way too long on this spot, and it actually drove my face into the canvas, and I ended up chipping my tooth. And right there, I'm checking it. Like, I almost thought that I cracked it. And then I didn't say anything to Suede, but somebody said something on my behalf to Suede, and Suede's response was, well, tell him he needs to learn how to fucking work. That let me know, like, after this match, how much of a fucking piece of shit Suede Thompson was. It's getting Suede going for the tag, but Greg Romero, they're beefing too hard. He's not going for the tag. Greg Romero's like, fuck you, dude. We're leaving you here on your own, and now we're gonna fucking murder Suede. And I do agree with that, Nicky Two Burgers. All we gotta do is get Nick to shave his fucking head. Just joking. Jake has hair. Good old alligator catch there. And despite the fact that Suede Thompson was the one that got the W in that, I was still really proud of the structure of that match. Here's Suede's shit timing. I wish that he would have just turned around so I didn't have to turn him around. But yes, Death Proof could probably all grow hair, but I would look like fucking Bozo the Clown or Devin Townsend if I tried to grow it out. This man's got a skullet. This isn't by choice, it's by design. I couldn't take my fucking pad off because I had taped the sleeve with the athletic tape around my wrist. I looked like a fucking idiot there. Yep, Cody Cutter was a real thing. And the reason I stopped doing it is because everybody and their fucking grandmother decided they wanted to do it on the same shows as me, so I just gave up. But once again, like the biggest disappointment that I have in all of that is that I did not get to have a street fight with Austin Grimes. So Austin, I hope you eventually see this and you realize how important it was for me to try to make a moment for you, because man, that dude is dedicated, very very dedicated, and we're very thankful to have him involved with the Vegas scene. So shout out to Austin Grimes on that one. Yes, and being suspended indefinitely by D'Lo Brown is probably a really cool thing to put on your resume. I don't think we have Heat anymore though, so shout out to D'Lo Brown. All right. So this match, um, I remember being very excited to have, and thankfully because of the FSW network, I thought it was like lost to time. I had never been able to watch it back, and I had the opportunity to watch it back the other night. And this is the main reason why I decided to make this stream. And it's really unfortunate because there was a lot of things like promos that Nick cut on me and promos that I cut on Nick that are just kind of lost to time. Um, Nick Bugatti's Facebook account got hacked, so a lot of that back and forth that we had before the retirement match um, just doesn't exist. But thankfully, all the matches are accounted for. So shout out to Ben for getting the FSW network off the ground and running, and we're very thankful for that. So we got a little bit of a sample of what Death Proof used to be back when we were on the following. And this is also back at our school now, when for some reason our hard cam was against a blank wall away from the fans, so you always had to put your back to the fans, which I always hated. I couldn't stand that. I lobbied so hard for them to get switch hard cam, really fucking hard. How many people do I think FS or COVID is keeping away from FSW? There's definitely a few. VIP, Vincent Impact Pride, whose mother is going through some health issues right now. He can't be around. Austin Grimes can't be around. There was an awesome student that we had named Ian who had just signed up before COVID, who, man, this dude had the fucking heart, and he had disadvantages, but he pushed through and he stayed humble and he was always respectful. He's not around. Tony Dodge, who had signed up before COVID, he's not around because of it. So, and also just a quick point, I was riding Nick's ass so hard for coming out to Bon Jovi. I was trying to convince him to start coming out to Epic from Faith No More, which was so close to happening, but it didn't happen. I was so mad about that. But yeah, COVID has definitely affected our scene in a big way, and I respect everyone that's staying away and doing the responsible thing. Um, Wrestling, unfortunately, provides me a little bit too much of a high, I guess, to back away from it entirely. And I'm thankful that we still have some things going on in some facet, but especially after tonight, I think we all had to realize that there's the right thing to do, and we just got to take care of some things to get things back in order. So loved the chain to start this match. I think at this point I was less cartoon villain with my heel. A little bit more serious. Big shoulder tackle there. I wish I didn't sandbag Nick on that slam, but, you know, there was a point in time where Kevin Cross called me deceptively heavy man, which is it was much of a much truer statement back then. I've thankfully learned how to get light. Thankfully, fucking mercifully, I've learned how to get light. And I don't know if anybody heard Jake in the beginning of the match shilling the following merchandise beforehand. I got that cut off from Sua, who was a Dragon Gate graduate, and he later went on to have a very, very strong run in Pro Wrestling Noah. And I had a lot of fun doing spots like that. Austin Grimes held many a foot for me so I could cut off a babyface. Once again, shout out to Austin. Yeah, it's crazy to look back. I mean, it's even crazy to look back at it and see myself. I had put so much work into my weight loss. I should have started lifting sooner, but got to make up for lost time, brother. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that cutoff. I always had very clever cutoffs when I was a heel. Once again, this was when Nick Bugatti was starting to build himself a little bit of a moveset. That's one thing I always love about Nick, is that he is just such a fast bumper. Just like, boom, on a dime. Not only that, but I mean, look at how many people were at the school. You know, I can't wait for COVID to be over with. I want to wrestle in front of fucking crowds again. And I mean, like, real crowds. Like Sam's Town. Jake being an asshole on the outside. And it's a shame because you can't see, but I'm actually grabbing Nick Bugatti by the ears to do that neck breaker. Yeah, it's definitely crazy going back and watching. I much prefer FSW's Black Canvas to that one. Once again, this is another match where we had ropes. I prefer the ropes to the cables, for sure. Once again, another move that I used to do that I had to stop doing because everybody and their fucking grandma was doing it, so you're gonna be challenged pretty hard to be creative in this world. But if you know 5 people that are doing the same thing as you, it might be time to find something new to do. Why was I so mean? So, I remember that was one of my big regrets in this match, is that was a spot you would see a lot in old-time wrestling, was the babyface in the hill accidentally knocking heads and then going into the double down. I remember Kenny King told me that if we were going to do that spot, we needed to probably add a little bit more into the front end before we got to the final head bump, which made sense. once again, another reason why I think that I can look back at these matches and be proud of him is that Nick wasn't a bitch, and he fucking threw everything like he meant it. Very crazy seeing a babyface Nick Bugatti come back. Also, huge shout out to Nick Bugatti because earlier he hit that standing dropkick. Thankfully, Jay Cafe came in and helped us out with that the other night. I wish I would have just committed to using that as my finish back then, but back then I was only using it as a falsie. Here we go. I believe that this was the last time I ever attempted this move. I used to do cannonballs in the corner a lot, and I think that was the night that I finally retired it. But yeah, once again, it's just that FSW network is such a blessing to be able to go back and find these matches. You know, there's so many things that have happened within the last 10 years of our company. Definitely good to go back and relive some of this stuff. And I can just remember afterwards being in the back and feeling like such a sense of gratification because at this point in time, Joe had told Nick things like, "Oh, well, you're never going to be any more than a jobber in the company," because he didn't see uh, anything that special in Nick. Also, another fun bit because I listened to the crowd and they started chanting one more time. I wish that I would have kicked Nick Bugatti in the balls instead of giving him the eye poke, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about now. Yeah, definitely should have kicked him in the nuts. It would have gotten a better reaction. And thank you for that comment, Nikki. Um, he back then his bread and butter was the fisherman suplex, so trying to make it seem like he goes for it and I get out of it, try to go for mine, and then get out of it, and then he tries to go for his finally, and then I finally get it. You always want it. Once again, that's this. That's when you really learn how to like build and structure matches, especially when you're going for finishes. Um, those are the kind of things that you want to try to recreate. Um, just a quick little pausing and talking point just to kind of shed a little bit more light on what Nick Bugatti did in order to transition himself from being considered nothing more than a jobber uh, in Joe's eyes to eventually becoming No Limits champion. Is that from the second that you watched that match of us in training, you saw progress to the tag match, progress to that singles match, progress. And when me and Nick lived together, having a wrestling house really gave us the opportunity to think and workshop and come up with ideas and Nick Bugatti went from just being a name to being a character, and he had character development. He cut promos that were out of this world, and he completely embraced change, and he evolved into something that, once again, I think he's kind of unsung in the eyes of the Vegas wrestling community. But I knew I couldn't have this match with anybody else but him, and that was the reason that if this actually was my last wrestling match, I wanted to have it with somebody that I felt deserved that. Austin Grimes requested to ref this match, and he actually wore a Crash Test Cody shirt underneath his zebra stripes on that night, which was a really big deal for me. Joshua Shibata, this was the first time that I ever met him, and he had raving reviews of this match afterwards. And this was a really big night. The 9th anniversary was a big deal. The promo before this night was the night that I actually knocked Nick Bugatti out cold. Unfortunately, that footage I was not able to find, but you know, Nick gave himself to professional wrestling fully, and what came back to him was being able to have some amazing opportunities. His old favorite saying used to be golden opportunity. He made those opportunities for himself by his dedication and the amount that he worked. And he brought the best out of me. Even when we were living together, when I didn't want to work out and I saw him working out, I'm like, fuck, I gotta work out. I gotta keep up. And it motivated me. It motivated Silas. It motivated the entire household. And I don't think I would be where I am today if I didn't have him in my life. So, without getting too sappy, let's get into it.
This one is a matter of pride. Nick Bugatti,
To fill you in on the time frame, this was I had torn my rotator cuff in my match with shithead Swade Thompson. He had called to take a cutter off the top rope, and he was too chicken shit to commit. And he sandbagged me coming off the top, and then that caused my body to corkscrew, and then we landed very badly. And I didn't realize that my rotator cuff was torn until the next night. And I can honestly tell you that it was like the lowest point in my life. I couldn't wrestle. This was during the time period that I was being recruited by OWE to go to China to train wrestlers with Remy, and unfortunately they had to pass on me, and they thankfully ended up taking Nick Bugatti and Maserati as well. You can see Stan Victor, aka Shogun, his debut into the world of wrestling was being a insurance policy for Nick Bugatti, and it was a really good way to introduce him to a crowd. I didn't want to stop wrestling, but I knew that I had to heal, and I didn't have the money for the surgery, and I decided to do it naturally. And during this time period, like I said, it was a really hard time. And I was presented with an opportunity to go overseas to do a magic show with my ex. And I'd never been more miserable in my life because the only thing I really wanted was to be a professional wrestler. The song that I chose to come out to was from a band called Peg Boy, and it's called Strong Reaction. I felt like the lyrics were very fitting for what I was going through at the time. And there was so much more that was supposed to happen with this feud. This wasn't supposed to be the end of it. we were supposed to do a tag match with Tyshawn Prince against Shogun and Nick Bugatti. I had to pull out of that because my boss basically said if you hurt yourself during this match or any matches that you have before you get on the ship, your contract is going to be null and void, and you're going to have to be responsible for the finances of your tickets and things like that. So there was pressure on me not to wrestle. It was eventually supposed to cap off in actually a no-rope barbed wire match between me and Nick. And that was the match where Nick Bugatti was going to finally shave his head, because we were going to do a spot where he got his hair wrapped in the barbed wire, and he would have to get cut out of it, and that was going to be a catalyst of change. But it's okay that we didn't get those moments, because this was a good enough chapter to close on, for sure. Yeah, we all miss Sam's Town for sure.
Had a great run until he got injured and tore his rotator cuff a little bit less than 1 year ago. And now he is back tonight, and the fans are behind him again.
I think that the 3 matches that we watched.
Last night at the Hall of Fame ceremony, he knocked Nick Bugatti out with a right hand.
Sorry for the awkward pause, but this sequence we did was actually pulled from a match between Nick Bockwinkel and Kurt Hennig for the AWA World Title. And then there was another spot that we did that was Shawn Michaels' Diesel spot. And then towards the finish of the go home, we actually got that from Lance Storm and Chris Jericho from ECW One Night Stand.
The problem is, Cody feels that Nick Bugatti doesn't need to take all these shortcuts. That Nick Bugatti
Nick was just so good. He got himself so deep in with that headlock takeover. We were able to do that like it was an arm drag.
And a lot of it's about respect. On top of that, Cody has gone.
I don't know. Also, Diana, I hope you were feeling well soon. This match was not the match that Shayna took the chair to the face. This match was in 2017. But it wasn't long after that Shayna did take that chair to the face, which was fucking wild. Very, very wild.
Look at that.
That time, Cody's intensity backfired on him a little bit.
Bugatti driving
I don't know if I said Nick Bockwinkel and Kurt Hennig. If I botched Nick Bockwinkel's name, I apologize. Fun fact, I bought him a hot dog once. I'll tell you more about that story in person. But yeah, the whole entire beginning of this match was taken from that match between Bockwinkel and Hennig.
This is some of that technical skill that he tries to hide from everybody.
Yeah, and that was definitely Shayna taking that chair to the face was definitely for the business, and we appreciate her taking it for the business. Fun fact, Nick Bugatti was wearing my bootlaces from when I was Crash Test Cody.
Broken hearts hit harder. Cody, if he's had his heart broken, Nick Bugatti's gonna have his skull broken by the end of this one.
Yeah, this was a really lean Cody.
Look at this, he scoops him up. And look at that, getting out of dodge. Nick Bugatti kind of rethinking his game plan.
Yeah, Bugatti's got to tuck tail for a little while and try and re-strategize on the outside. He can't be the
There was other things that we did in this match that we took from other areas.
I'm not sure if this is a ploy by Bugatti to try
I just remember the crowd reaction was just so crazy. So crazy.
He looks frustrated.
Now here comes Cody.
Yeah, Cody coming around the other side.
Alright guys, and just to let you know, there's going to be a music video package that our good boy Mikey from Too Sweet to Delete made, and then we're closing out with the last match that I had with Nick Bugatti at Natural Born Killers 2.
That he's manipulated to do his bidding.
This is that Shawn Michaels Diesel spot.
Got the foot up.
And on the outside, opportunity and Maserati arguing, but slingshot.
Mr.
Shogun
Opportunity.
making sure that Nick Bugatti doesn't go down.
But for how long? Because here comes Cody.
And I really wish that
Can only
Shogun
do
would
so
have
much.
taken the spill to the floor there, but he wasn't feeling landed on the hard
Cody
wood
going for
floor
the
of
Danger
Samstown.
Zone and brings himself down high from the sky with a
Once
crossbody
again, we got a
blow.
shitty falling Cody dive. Not very impressive, but I tried my best.
It's how he won the adulation in the past by
And
taking
the
huge
Natural Born
risks
Killers
and
match,
putting his body on the line.
The
I
crowd
mean,
is
it's
fired up for
if
Cody.
that is the last match that I ever have with Nick Bugatti, I think that's a pretty good match to end on. We'll talk more about that match as we're going into it, but that was a really big deal for me.
Between these two. And look at Maserati saving Bugatti.
And as we've seen, any opportunity they can, they will use it to their advantage.
God, it looked like I
Held the
used to
foot
wear a
of
corset.
Cody.
My waist was so small.
And Bugatti taking advantage of this.
The big axe handle to the bad arm of Cody.
And fun fact too is that this match was actually, I believe, the very first professional wrestling event that was streamed on Twitch, and we got that set up from a gentleman named Mohawk Mike, who kind of launched FSW into another bracket with the help that he provided for the stream. He ended up having to leave Vegas, unfortunately, but Mohawk Mike, we are so thankful for you and everything that you did for the company. Really, really, really amazing guy, and was a prominent figurehead in the esports community. And he believed in our product enough to use his reputation and his name to try to highlight us in a better way. Thank you for that.
This could be it. 1, 2.
So once again, I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but Nick Bugatti is working over my right arm because that is the rotator cuff that I did tear.
Of Cutthroat Cody, or Cody Hancock.
And the thing is, Cody, he is trained, he is getting ready back for this moment, but the question becomes how much gas is in the tank. He hasn't wrestled in over 10 months.
Joe DeFalco and Jake Affleck on commentary. Jake Black, I should say. Jake Black, I think, is one of my favorite commentators on the Indies. Does a tremendous job, and he definitely told the story of this match word for word.
It's like he was going for a pedigree, but Cody.
The vicious forearms that we've come to love from Cody.
But you see that? Look
The vicious forearms that Joe DeFalco loves and everybody else hates. Sorry, I'm so snug, brothers.
Bugatti dodged a bullet, and Cody tumbles to the floor hard.
With me being undersized, I can't remember who told me it, but they told me, they're like, since you're so small, you got to make sure that when you hit people, that it looks like you're fucking hitting them. And I think that should be the way it is for everybody. Once again, mama didn't raise no bitch. It's Casey's favorite thing to hear. You got to go hard. If you treat it like you give a fuck, other people will give a fuck. Like, I cannot reiterate that more. Nick's dumbass. I had to yell at him for that. Sometimes autopilot gets the best of you. Yes.
Cody's not going to have much left, like you said. We wondered about ring rust. We wondered about cardio. We wondered about the torn rotator cuff injury, how it's healed. I think we've gotten our answers. That Cody was running on adrenaline and hatred from the opening bell.
Listen to the crowd, Jake. They are solidly behind Cody. They want to see a victory.
Nick Bugatti sacrificing his nuts for the business.
Cody got out of dodge at the right time. And now he's driving Bugatti's shoulder right into the steel. A measure of revenge for Cody.
Shayna making sure Nick Bugatti's hair is okay.
Boot scrape straight out of hell.
looks like Cody going for the pin. 1, 2. Oh, look at that Bugatti. The awareness that he had, just reached up and grabbed the bottom rope.
Too close to the ropes.
Championship ring slipping away, and he grabbed the hold.
Thanks for paying attention, Nikki, because that's definitely something that, once again, when you're building matches, it's a huge element that people don't use in building matches today. Callbacks are fucking essential.
And look at this, Bugatti has him up. And the big body slam, down goes Cody.
Very essential. Try them out when you're building your matches, guys, because it makes a huge difference.
Here goes Bugatti, but Cody gets the foot up. A desperation foot.
Nick's hair is so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
That might have bought Cody some time. And another shot out of Cody.
And you could see he's shaking his hand. And he is climbing to the second rope, and he's got Bugatti.
Cody gonna go for a superplex, it looks like. Does he still have the strength to bring him up and over? And Cody able to leverage himself and deliver that superplex to Bugatti.
And another thing that was on the card for this night was Alexander Hammerstone versus Sami Callihan. And when we went backstage, Hammerstone was there, and he told me, hey man, I'm going to go home. We were supposed to be in the main event, but the main event already happened. To receive praise like that from somebody that's at that level is so appreciated. And it made it feel like what we did meant something.
But Cody cuts him off with the shoulder block straight up to the midsection.
Just gonna punch Nick Bugatti in the throat a bunch of times.
We knew this was gonna be intense. We knew it was gonna be physical, but I don't even think we expected this. Oh man, talk about a back elbow.
And the left-handed clothesline from Cody.
Rolling soulbutt out of Cody. Going for that forward falling DDT, but he gets cut off. Bugatti going for the inverted atomic drop. Shining Wizard.
The cover 1, 2.
So, and unfortunately, another thing that was lost to time was a promo that Nick Bugatti cut on me that he just went off on all the former No Limits champions that he beat. So what I did in my comeback is I actually did a bunch of moves from former No Limits champions. The one that I wish I wouldn't have done was I did the Tekken Punch from Saiku, and it was just so far out of the realm of everything else that was happening. It was kind of goofy, haha. But Saiku had been gone for so long, I think there was people that genuinely didn't remember that Saiku existed. There was one person in the crowd that did, though, and she was smiling from ear to ear. It was very, very, very funny to me, but not very funny to anybody else but me and her. Here it comes, actually. Listen to the crowd die. Yeah, they're about everything else. Like, no, we can't get behind that. That's a regret that I have, but hey, it happens. Did the flip mode for Legacy. Shout out to my boy Legacy. Here's my ode to Remy Marcel. Once again, I'm not the most spectacular top rope guy, but I felt like the frog splash was necessary. And, I mean, it's even better now because Saiku might be coming back around, so I'm very excited for people to actually go back and be able to watch this match and actually know where I got the fucking Tekken Punch from. Nice high and tight
landing, it looked like on his shoulder.
half and half suplex from Bugatti.
This could be the beginning of the end once again. Will the power couple with Mr.
Yeah, I definitely had to throw up before the frog splash. This was before the 86er Remy Marcel days. Once again, guys, thank you for hanging so tight with me. I just definitely want to be able to share some of these moments that meant a lot to me with a lot of you. And keep on hanging out, guys. We're almost finished for the night. Not backing down from Nick Bugatti's offense here.
Then he sees this man holding that title as soon as he comes back.
And he stepped on the foot. Are you kidding me?
Cody was going for one of his signature moves for a second there, but Bugatti counters. But Cody brings him down around the world.
So another fun fact about this match is that Nick Bugatti actually wrestled this match with broken ribs. He broke his ribs during a match for a freak show, and he had not fully healed. But he didn't want to back out of this match, and he got through it with no problems other than right there. That spot hurt him really bad. If you actually pay attention to that hit with the purse, you can see my head start swelling on the camera. There was a chain in it, and thankfully Shayna brought it for the business.
Sounded like that purse was loaded with a brick.
And all hail the king, because Bugatti is going to put down.
Listen to this reaction.
It's all over. 1, 2.
Cody stops the count.
I was so nervous that spot would not get a reaction, and it was a big risk, but I didn't want to kick out of Nick's finisher. And just the crowd slowly roared, and when the crowd reacted, I couldn't help but smile on camera because I knew that we had him. So that same chain that was in the purse Nick Bugatti presents, which I really wish I would have given that note to Joe on commentary so he would put that over. But no big deal. There was even a promo that we did at the school where I was facing off with Nick Bugatti, and Nick Bugatti was basically telling me that I didn't have anybody's support anymore, and I actually had fans come in the ring with me during my promo to stand behind me as I stood up against Nick Bugatti and Shogun and Maserati, and I had people thank me because they said the only thing they ever wanted to do with their lives was stand in a professional wrestling ring. The build up to this match was incredible. I wish that I would have been able to get all the footage, but just bringing those shots. And for those that don't know, is that Tyshawn Prince and me actually broke into wrestling at the exact same time. We had our debut matches on the exact same night back in 2009. And it was, it would have been cool to do the tag match between Shogun and Bugatti against Tyshawn and me, but it just wasn't in the cards. But it was still a very special moment to have him there, being somebody that was there my first night and then also there for me on what was perceived to be my last night in professional wrestling. Yes, this was absolutely the angle to set up the tag match. And then after the tag match, there was going to be the no ropes barbed wire match.
patient after you just saw an incredible performance by Cody Hancock. The return of Tyshawn Prince. Follow along at hashtag FSW9 and make sure you hit the subscribe and follow button here on Twitch. Become a subscriber for the future stars of wrestling.
As I said,
Channel.
check him out. Tears in his eyes, cutthroat Cody, crest test Cody, Cody Hancock. This could be the last time we've seen him in an NFSW ring, and he goes out victorious.
So we're just gonna do another little talking point before we watch the highlight video on the last match. It's hard to not get emotional because I can watch this back and I can remember the state of mind I was in, and I was really fucking miserable. Because this was the only thing I ever really wanted to do, and I'm so thankful that my life went into a downward spiral. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to pick myself back up in order to return to wrestling. And Elaine was somebody that in the beginning she respected me when I was making a lot of money with wrestling. But she stopped respecting me when I wasn't making money with wrestling. And she treated me like I was a lesser person. And I wish her no ill will whatsoever. And wrestling is something that's very hard to support, which I completely understand. But if she could understand the aspect of family, the aspect of being able to do something for somebody that serves a higher purpose than yourself, to inspire people around you, whether it be inside of wrestling or from the fans' perspective, maybe she wouldn't have been such a bad fucking person to me. But in losing her, I regained something entirely new with Casey, and I'm very, very thankful for her every day, because she supports me through this. And even when it gets hard, she's with me through this. And, you know, I've never openly told the world, but Nick Bugatti is my best friend. And I'm so thankful that I was able to have these moments with him. And, yeah, I really love this, and I really love all of you. So, once again, sorry for being sappy, but oh shit, want to become famous, buy followers. Fuck, buddy, I don't think I want to, I don't want to buy followers. I'll delete that later. Polly Cover, thank you for being here. We're about to get into it. The last match that I had with my greatest rival, my best friend, and somebody that I love and respect in this world. And I appreciate you guys so much once again for coming. Sorry for getting emotional, but you really have to understand that professional wrestling is one of the most beautiful things in the world to me. And I'm so happy to be able to share it with all of you. So without further ado, let's get back to the show.
What a night so far here. Sam's Town Live 9-year anniversary show. First time ever FSW Live.
I took you under my
Vicious forearm for Bugatti. Probably learned it from Cody.
And I had your ear for a very long time.
You are he. You are I. Golden opportunity. But somewhere along the way, I lost you. And you haven't heard a word I've said since.
These two generally had a pretty good relationship with each other in the locker room. That's all out the window now.
This is my world, Hancock.
The problem is, Cody feels that Nick Bugatti doesn't need to take all these shortcuts. That Nick Bugatti...
And in my world, whether you like it or not, I am your king.
Nick Bugatti, Cody, you're gonna get what you asked for a year ago.
But not just any Cody, not the crash test, not old man Hancock. No, I am asked for cutthroat.
You're gonna get cutthroat, Cody.
I am king of your
No pinfalls. Submission or knockout only. Only one of us walks away. And only one of us is a natural born killer.
So once again, a tremendous highlight package made by Mikey. This match was the only favor that I ever asked Kevin Cross for because I was so inspired by the first Natural Born Killers, and I felt like me and Nick would be able to rise to the occasion in order to pull this match off. And I am so thankful that I asked to cash that favor in. There's only really one regret that I have in this match, and that was, well, no, I have two. There was a point where I should have sold my leg brother, and there was another point where I started throwing pro wrestling punches. But aside from that, to be on a card full of credentialed mixed martial artists and to be able to show that I could hang is something that I will always be proud of to this day. I remember the only person I was really being open and honest with was Jake Black on commentary. And I was extremely nervous, and I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm going to shit the fucking bed. Like, and I'm just, once again, I'm just so thankful that I was able to pull it off. A lot of people ask me about the mask. I decided to retire the mask because it is something that was custom made for me by Elaine, and I still love it, but it's starting to fall apart, and it just kind of felt like it was time to move away from that aspect of my life. I might rework it, who knows. It was a very, very, very iconic look for me, and I still really love it. But like I said, it's falling apart. And I'd rather preserve it the way that it is now than let it get so far tattered that it's just, useless. Shout out to Sally on commentary, or not commentary, but ring announcing. Also, another big shout out. So the commentary team on this match was Pete Wilbur and Jake Black. And Pete Wilbur, man, I know that you're a family man, but brother, you got a gift when it comes to commentary, and we would be more than happy to have you back. Yeah, Mikey did a really good job with that highlight package. Nick Bugatti deciding to wear the black singlet underneath his new gear as a homage to the past. If you notice, Nick Bugatti isn't coming out as the Nick Bugatti character. He's serious AF, as the kids like to say.
And that's right. Nobody here flanking. Nick Bugatti, he's got a very serious look in his eye. He's a guy that's traveled all over the world. He's been in a lot of fights. I know he knows Cutthroat Cody like the back of his hand, but this is a different situation with no backup in his corner. Mano y mano.
A lot of the athletes you'll see tonight have extensive training in one form of grappling or martial arts or the other. Neither of these men have that training, but they will bring an intensity to this fight. They have that old roommate heat where they hate each other, and they're going to dish out a beating.
Yeah, it's all about the little nuances. Jan Strowman. It's all about those little tiny things.
Grammy's gonna have to reset him.
And no rope breaks in this matchup. The referees.
Did you see that? Referee letting him play as he fumbled. A nice throw there by Cody. And like we said, not a lot of style here. This is gonna be more of a schoolyard fight.
And they wouldn't have it any other way. It's what these two men want to do tonight. They want to finally settle their issues. It's been close to 2 years in the making for this confrontation and for this battle.
Right now, just tussling. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but just tussling.
He's kind of got control, but they are moving really fast. This takes a lot of energy, this type of grappling here.
Oh, you got to be at peak conditioning when you're grappling.
Yeah, we were definitely trying to make this seem like we actually fucking hated each other. Because, I mean, at this point, there's a lot of things I had to hate Nick Bugatti over. For instance, when I was living with him and anytime he would borrow my car for some fucking strange reason, there'd always be a nail in it. I swear to God, he gave me like 3 fucking flats. It was like an ongoing joke. He would often leave the stove on. So, yes, there was a little bit of a... Once again, the commentators even put it over. There was old roommate heat for sure.
He's not in a good position. Nice, successful takedown there. He's got to get him grounded if he wants his win back.
And it looked like Cody was actually going for the beautiful hair of Bugatti.
We're working the knee of Bugatti, but Cody with a nice reversal, going for the armbar. And this is actually surprising to see this level of grappling here, going for submissions this early, rather than guys just really trying to beat each other up, as you saw Cody doing earlier.
Hey,
It's going to start getting raw really quick. Really quick.
Absolutely. Especially in this house tonight. Nothing fancy about that. Old school Japanese soccer style. Stepping out.
You have to do what you have to do to break the hold.
He was going to break his arm. He was going to break his arm.
The ropes aren't going to help you. There's no rounds. So if you're taking a beating, you can't use
Yeah.
a minute or whatever.
Nick Bugatti would leave the stove on, and I would have to yell at him for that shit a lot. I'm trying to burn the fucking house down, Nick.
That actually provides a lot more pressure on the knee than turning over. He's just sitting directly on it, barring that leg with his own leg, if you're following me here.
And Cody is in the center of the ring. While the ropes won't help, it would help him try to achieve some leverage and alleviate the pain.
And once again, I mean, we both kind of knew that we weren't going to be able to go out and make each other look like MMA guys. So we did have to rely a little bit on pro wrestling, but we just kept the intensity. Which was very important. And once again, me and Nick had the gentleman's agreement of going out there and going really, really hard. This is nasty. Just to give everyone a heads up that hasn't seen this yet.
Here he comes here, right on time. Bugatti chicken wing style.
Half and half suplex, dropped him right on his neck. That'll press your vertebrae.
Yeah, not quite sure how I don't have any neck problems from that.
Very smart here.
Yeah, fuck it, I might. It is probably from that.
He's been
Once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Absolutely huge slam. Bugatti looks off
And
as the
once again, I'm
referee
so
applies the
thankful that
count.
Kevin gave us the opportunity to actually have this match on his show. It was
He fell right on his head.
a favor that he was able to accommodate because of the amount of time Nick and I spent with him training in his
Strikes close in.
early months as a professional wrestler.
Causing damage to both guys here. This is continues.
I was dead for sure, but I'm back to life.
Bugatti
Firing those elbows now too.
just look at the rage behind each shot Cody delivers.
So I'm pretty sure it was on the second elbow that I gave him when I was giving him the head hold elbows that I think that he blacked out a second and then he came back into it.
Knee strike. Straight at a head
My bad, buddy.
cutthroat Cody, and both men are down now.
I think I feel a few of my teeth loose up.
Once again, sorry for being the fucking snuggest motherfucker in the world,
Referee counting both men out.
but it's good for business. It's very good for business.
It might just be his heart and his gut keeping him going here.
We've seen Cody imagine with barbed wire inside the steel cage. He has an incredibly high pain tolerance.
Got him. The surge energy here going right to the head.
Once again, the only thing that devastates me about this match is that the feed kind of cut out during the finish, but it was around long enough to where you could tell what happened.
This isn't typical pro wrestling, as these guys are on top of each other from the get-go and haven't stopped. This pace is amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrestling options for the fans this weekend. Thank you for anyone joining us here on Fight TV for Natural Born Killers 2.
This is a barn burner right now. These guys have not slowed down despite the amount of punishment dished out by both guys. And now Cody going for a submission here.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to set up for the crossface.
Good night, buddy.
But now he's just gone right into the strikes, that point of the elbow.
He's got him in a kind of a crucifix position here. That's indefensible. And now into the submission.
And that crossface, wrenching on the shoulder.
That's deep. It's cranked in. He's got it locked. That's it. Cody with the submission. Impressive work.
I'm so excited. Hey, you're the ring announcer. Announce the winner.
So, really, really proud of how that finish came off. The crucifix elbows into the crossface was definitely the way to go to close this out. After this match, people had approached Nick, and the fans were kind of awestruck that he was that capable. Because, you know, Bugatti admittedly is a lot of shtick, but there's so much more to him. And he is, in my opinion, probably one of the best technical wrestlers that we have in the company. His mat game is unsurpassed by most, and he's a professional. And like I said, he's definitely one of my best friends. And you'll find in your time in the world of wrestling that there's some people that you can only have certain matches with. I could only have that steel cage match with Funny Bone that I had. I can only have that tag team street fight match with Remy and Jack. I could only had the fucking suburban fight style bar brawl that I had with Adriel and Shaggy. I could only had the match that I had with Lazarus. Same thing with Nikki Two Burgers. I could have only had that match with you. I could only have these moments with Nick Bugatti. And for the people that that are doing this, you will eventually have the opportunity to capture lightning in a bottle, as I always like to say. And we just kind of opened up those bottles of lightning together tonight, and I'm looking forward very much to being able to do it again. And Judah, thank you for those words. All of these matches hold a very, 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 very special place in my heart. And I know that we are going through a very, very difficult time right now in the landscape of not only our day-to-day lives, but as well as professional wrestling. But we're here together. and we are eventually going to be able to have crowds, and we're eventually going to be able to train without restrictions, and we're eventually going to be out of this. We just got a little bit longer to go. We just have to hold out faith that there will be a day that COVID ends. And in closing, thank all of you so much for coming by and enjoying this with me. I'm thankful for you all. And Nick Bugatti, you will always be my best friend and my worst enemy. I will see you all very, very soon, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Talk to you later.